ladies and gentlemen, and movie lovers of all kind, and welcome back to the channel. As always, I am your host, Brett Murphy, and for today's video, it is going to be another ranking. And I am going to be ranking all 11 of the Wizarding World movies. Of course, by Wizarding World, I mean the Harry Potter and Fantastic Beasts movie franchises. So, long story short, Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore, aka Fantastic Beasts 3, dropped in theaters this very weekend, and when I did my Harry Potter ranking a few months back, I neglected to include the Fantastic Beasts movies. So I figured, now that a new one has dropped, why not throw them in into a brand new ranking with all of them? So where does this latest Fantastic Beasts movie land? Well, we're about to find out. Before we hop into the actual ranking itself, I just wanted to let you all know that I have an entire playlist dedicated to all of my ranking videos. So be sure to check that out, and I guarantee you'll find something you like. And so without further ado, let's hop right into things. Number 11. Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald. Though I don't feel that this is a bad movie by any means, it is definitely a cautionary tale of having just too much going on at once. There are so many storylines crammed into this 2-hour runtime. But yet, despite that, when the credits do finally roll, it still somehow manages to feel like nothing has happened. It has a tone that is a bit too dark and a bit too serious, but it still boasts some gorgeous visuals, a great cast of characters, and one way or another, it's another trip into the wonderful Wizarding World. Number 10. Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore. It was pretty close between this one and the next one, but I do feel that this one is just ever so slightly weaker. I loved the increased focus on Jude Law as a young Dumbledore, and Mads Mikkelsen just so effortlessly slides into the shoes of Grindelwald. The story is much better written, with much more clear and purposeful storytelling, a better pace, and some great new characters, as well as a larger focus on the characters that we already love. However, some other major characters still just happen to get pushed to the wayside, and the series as a whole still feels like it lacks any real direction. Number 9. Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Yes, their first crack at this new Wizarding World spin-off series is still their best. A brilliant blend of mystery, wonder, and excitement. Our new group of heroes are all quirky and lovable, Colin Farrell plays a pretty intriguing villain, the beasts themselves are indeed fantastic, and of course I welcomed with open arms a return to the Wizarding World set in a different time period after a half a decade absence. Number 8. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, Part 1. Now, I wouldn't call this one the worst Harry Potter movie, I would just call it my least favorite. Because I would still probably score this like an 8.5 out of 10 or something. Despite my love for this movie and many of its great elements like the Ministry of Magic sequence, the stunning cinematography, the uniquely animated tale of the three brothers, and the devastation of Dobby's death, this movie really just kind of ends up being a stage setter more than anything. It's right there in the title. Part 1. It's only half the story. And honestly, there doesn't feel like there really is much progression story-wise. Number 7. Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. I really wish I could have put this movie higher up on the list because it is actually my favorite of the books. But there is just so much they just chopped right out of there that I really wish was in the movie. But even with its more narrow focus, there is still so much to enjoy and appreciate. Dolores Umbridge is exceptionally unbearable, Dumbledore's army is awesome and rightfully the focus of the movie. Then on top of that, you throw in that final sequence at the Ministry of Magic and the death of Sirius Black, and you have yourself one solid entry into this franchise. Number 6. Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. This one will always remain the creepiest in the franchise to me. It borderline terrified me as a kid, with whispers of kill echoing through the hall, blood on the walls, and students turning up petrified. I think there are a lot of aspects in this entry that are indeed weaker than the previous 2 movies that I just mentioned, hell, even the previous 5. It is far more kid-friendly and definitely a little overacted by some, but it still retains much of that magical charm that made the first so special. Dobby is a wonderful new addition and the flying car sequences are a joy. Number 5. Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. I'd say that this entry is likely the most underrated, overlooked, and underappreciated entry in the franchise. I mean, who could blame you? I'm guilty of it myself. This is likely the entry that I've watched the least, but that stops now. I love the increased focus on Draco that really helps to flesh out his character and make him more than just Harry Potter's nemesis. There's a heavier focus on Harry and Dumbledore's relationship, which works marvelously well. They've also decided to interject some lighthearted humor, which I really appreciated. Hermione and Ron, as well as Harry and Ginny's relationships begin to form. And to cap things off, we have Dumbledore's death as our conclusion, and it was executed perfectly. Number 4. Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. This one is pretty much just Triwizard Tournament the movie. There isn't really much else going on. So thankfully, the Triwizard Tournament is absolutely immaculate. Each task offers up unique challenges, twists, and turns. The opening attack on the Quidditch World Cup is indeed terrifying. Mad-Eye Moody is a spectacular new addition and easily one of my favorite characters in the entire franchise. Bruce Wayne, Cedric Diggory's death comes as a complete shock, and Voldemort finally returns to his physical form, giving us just a mere taste of Ralph Fiennes' brilliance. Number 3. Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. This is probably my biggest comfort movie. I've watched this movie more times than I could ever possibly care to count. And that is because I simply adore it. This was by far the best possible way to kick off this franchise and ensure its success. Christopher Columbus was the perfect choice to direct. Each and every cast member was perfectly casted and delivered superb performances. And John Williams, the absolute madman, crafted yet another one of cinema's most iconic movie themes. I'd also like to add this final point that I feel that this movie captures the feeling of the magic of this franchise better than any other. I will forever be in awe when we first reach Diagon Alley. And I will forever get goosebumps when we first lay eyes on Hogwarts. The rest of the movies definitely put a much bigger focus on Harry, his friends, and their adventures. But I feel that this one puts an extra emphasis on bringing the wizarding world to life and making it feel real, as if it all jumped right from the pages and onto the screen. Number 2. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, Part 2. Now this is what I call a perfect conclusion. A grand, epic, emotional, and most importantly, satisfying finale. I cannot even begin to possibly imagine the amount of pressure that this cast and crew must have been under to deliver. But they rose to the occasion and thrived under that pressure. It ties off every loose end. In my opinion, each and every cast member gave their best performances of the series. The Battle of Hogwarts is truly magnificent and it hits all of the right emotional beats. I genuinely do not have a single flaw with this flick. It not only lived up to, but most certainly surpassed the hype, closing out one of the most consistent, magical, and iconic stories in movie history. Number 1. Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. Okay, it was so unbelievably close between this one and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. Ask me tomorrow and I may give a different answer. But damn it, Alfonso Cuarón's direction is just far too good to not put this in the first place spot. I love the entire Sirius Black storyline. Remus Lupin is easily one of my favorite characters in this entire Wizarding World franchise. And I will never, and I mean never, forget my first time seeing a Dementor. And this movie just has major reveal after major reveal as we get closer to the end. Sirius Black is Harry's godfather and he is actually innocent. Scabbers, Ron's rat that's been along for the entire ride so far, is actually Peter Pettigrew the traitor, and Professor Lupin is actually a werewolf, which I might add is cleverly hinted at with, his name. Then you toss in Buckbeak as a character and creature that I love, along with Harry's first flight sequence. Then you have the whole Boggart sequence, which is absolutely ridiculous, the Time Turner sequence, and Harry casting the Patronus to save himself and Sirius Black. It is all bloody brilliant from top to bottom. Not to mention this was the movie that marked the shift to more darker, mature, and dramatic series of films. films. Just like the last entry, I do not have a single flaw with this movie either. Again, I could switch around this one and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. I simply love them both basically equally. But for today, I'm going to be saying that this one, The Prisoner of Azkaban, is indeed the best of the Wizarding World franchise. So that is all for today's video, folks. Be sure to let me know down in the comments if you agree or disagree with my ranking. While you're at it, feel free to let me know how you would rank all 11 of the Wizarding World films and what ranking you'd like to see me cover next. If you enjoyed that video, be sure to hit that thumbs up button. And if you'd like to see more content, consider subscribing to my channel and ringing that little bell icon. That way you can be notified about all of my latest uploads. And as always, stay safe. Thank you so much for watching. And that's a wrap. Hey you, yeah you, if you made it this far, just know I appreciate you, and while you're here, consider hitting that subscribe button.